500, Globalization, the Poor, and Christian Mission. You'll have two videos this week. This video is an overview of the course. You actually have all of the information in this video in written form, but different people learn differently, so I like to give it in verbal form as well. So let's start with the goals of the course. By the end of the course, we want you to have an understanding of the historical roots and contemporary expressions of globalization, a multifaceted appreciation for the complexity and paradoxical nature of the globalization debate as it affects poor people and the global Christian church, greater capacity to think theologically and missiologically about globalization and poverty, and an understanding of the impact of globalization and global institutions on people in poverty and the Christian responsibility toward them. And to sum it all up in one sentence, by the end of the quarter, we want you to be able to answer the following question: how can and should the church respond to globalization? So let's talk about the structure of the course. The first half of the course, the first 5 weeks, focuses on the phenomena of globalization, and we try to understand it as well as we can. So the first 3 weeks are an introduction, a history, and an evaluation of impact, primarily looking at economic globalization. But then we're also going to look at political and cultural globalization. The second half focuses on the call of the church in response. So we'll have a week on migration and world Christianity, which is all about mission in the traditional sense, but in the modern context. Then the next week we'll focus particularly on poverty and inequality. The week after that we'll focus on public theology, and the last week we will examine the issue from the perspective of the local church. The core text in this course is Bryant Meyer's Engaging Globalization, which is an overview of the whole phenomena and the various Christian responses to it. It's quite a text. But that's not all we're going to look at, because there really are a wide and diverse range of voices speaking to this issue, and I will try to introduce you to all of the most significant voices, whether or not I agree with them. So I just want to prepare you in advance that there is material in this course that you will not agree with, no matter who you are. But that's what we're here for, is to have that kind of open intellectual conversation. And to see, as Paul would say, the truth emerge in the midst. So this course is asynchronized, as you know, but I really think it's important to provide, at a minimum, opportunities for synchronized conversation so that we can really operate as a learning community on multiple levels. The second week, we are offering 3 different opportunities to attend a synchronized session, and these opportunities are set so that we can more or less accommodate all of the different time zones. I know it's not perfect, but we're doing the best we can. And this is really just an opportunity for us to get to know each other a little bit. Then, from then on, starting in week 3, the optional synchronized sessions happen every other week, and we go back and forth between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. None of those are required. I want to underline this. You will not be penalized for not attending them, but they can be really useful. So attend as few or as many as you like. Then the rhythm of the course in terms of assignments. By midnight on Wednesday, I want to see your initial post in response to the prompt for the week. And by Saturday at midnight, I want to see a minimum of 2 substantive comments. So you will have points subtracted if you're late, particularly if you're late on the second one. I will usually give you a grace period till Thursday night on the first one, although I would prefer to see it by midnight on Wednesday night. Then we have 2 reflection papers, and then your direct learning assignment. I always give a direct learning assignment where you focus on a local church ministry or organization, and you really try to ground your learning in the context of that case study or example, and that's what you'll do. It also qualifies as a signature assignment. The way that I weigh in on the asynchronized discussion forums is that every Friday I will respond to what has already been posted for each small group for that week with a synthesis comment. So you'll see that, and then when I grade you on Sundays, which is when I grade you, that I will give you an individual comment for each of your set of posts. So that's the flow of the course. Let me say something about my teaching philosophy. So this is a seminary, not a university. And that means that we're not just about giving you information, we are about equipping you for mission and ministry. So I'm big on application. A number of the prompts will include an application dimension, and I always want to hear what you think this means in the context of your actual life and ministry. So this is intended to be integrated on every level. We want you to discern the movement of the Spirit as clearly as you can. We want you to have knowledge and wisdom. So part of what that means is that we want you to see the big picture, but we also want you to find your place in it. My fundamental approach is personal, pastoral, and communal. I have been an ordained pastor for 34 years. I have been a professor for 15. And my primary identity is as a pastor. And I believe that I am responding to you as whole people, not just as brains. So if you want any kind of time with me to discuss what's going on in your life, what's going on in your ministry, I am available for that. I also hope and intend to be compassionate with you as you go through the various struggles that all of us go through in our lives and ministries. Fuller Next focuses on an indispensable education. So what that means to me is that your education belongs to you. Students will often say to me, how many words do you want on this particular assignment? Well, I will give you guidelines in terms of how many words, but in the end, it's up to you. Use the number of words that you need to use to express what you are learning, because this is your education. And I will give you a lot of choices. So for example, when we're doing our directed learning assignment, there are parameters that I give you in terms of the kind of church or ministry or organization that I want you to study. But if you say, no, I really actually want to study some different kind, well, let's talk about it. It's your education. I'm also not the grammar police. I will respond to your writing if it gets in the way of my capacity to understand you. And then I will ask you to go to the Writing Center and get some help. But I'm not going to spend my time or your time working on grammar. So what do I really care about besides application and integration? Well, it matters to me that you follow instructions, or that you tell me that you're not going to and why, right? Because there's flexibility. But the course is very carefully designed. And so the instructions are there for a reason, and you will get points subtracted if you don't follow instructions or communicate about why not. I do want you to ask questions and ask for help. Just to give you an example of what I want and what I don't want, I had two students who were trying to interview the same organization. And one of them got an interview right away, and another one had a lot of trouble, couldn't get an interview. But instead of coming to me and saying, I can't get an interview, can you help me? Which I would be very glad to do. They just didn't get the interview. And You know, they could have actually even joined the other student in their interview, and that would have been fine, but they didn't ask for help. So please, if something is difficult, if you don't understand something, if you're having difficulty making something happen, talk to me, write to me. Lastly, this is a controversial subject that we're dealing with in this course, and there are a wide variety of legitimate positions on the issue. I have strong opinions, but you are free to disagree. But I do want to see that you have paid attention to the arguments that are in the text, that are in the videos, so that you are giving evidence for your position. You can't just say, well, I don't agree, you're crazy. That's not sufficient. You really have to show that you've paid attention and give a counter argument. So thank you. I'm excited to be working with you this quarter.